most would say the biggest story of 2024, Scottie Scheffler, now with 9 wins around the world. Others would say it's the impasse in professional golf. What would you say is the story we should look forward to in 2025?
The story we should look forward to is more Scottie Scheffler. I mean, it's hard to imagine that he can do even better in 2025. But keep in mind, you know, his 2024 was plagued by some pretty big distractions, whether it was the birth of his first child, obviously the arrests and the fallout there. I mean, 9 wins is going to be so hard to duplicate as an encore. But I think the lingering question for the golf world is who can step up and challenge Scottie Scheffler. We saw it at times that it could be Xander Schauffele. We've seen it over the past couple of years that it could be a player who gets hot like a Victor Hovland. Maybe potentially, if you're forecasting, it could be Ludwig Åberg if he continues to win a little bit more. We're missing a foil. We're missing a challenger. We're missing a rival. I think Jon Rahm, of the players we've mentioned most recently over the past couple of years, have that potential to sort of be the thorn in Scottie Scheffler's side, or sort of the thing that could thwart some of his dominance. He's not there anymore. I'm looking for a player to step up and do it in 2025, because I think that could make an even bigger story, which is Scottie's dominance, even more compelling for the golf fan.
I wish I could sit here and say that it's going to be something that happens inside the ropes. Scottie Scheffler, Xander Schauffele challenging for that top spot in golf. The Ryder Cup at Bethpage, like all of these things that are going to happen next year inside the ropes are so compelling, but I'm going to be realistic, and I'm going to say it's going to be what's going to happen outside the ropes. We have now stretched into the second year of negotiations between the PGA Tour and the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, and we don't seem to be any closer to an answer. So I don't see us moving on from this. We don't want to talk about it. I know the fans are tired of talking about it. Certainly the players are fatigued, but we're not going to move on until we come to some sort of solution.
Can we please move on? Rex, can we please? We're all sick and tired of talking about it.
Me too.
But you have been doing a phenomenal job covering that story since day dot, so of course you're going to be the man on top of all of it. Lav, you kind of touched on it there, but if anyone, it's going to be so hard to knock Scottie off the run that he is on. I guess the X-Man looks like the man who could be, but has he even got what it takes to kind of tuck into the gap that Scottie has created for himself?
Well, I think Xander proved that in 2024, getting off the major schneid. And if you look at it, he's the most complete player in golf, the only player ranked in the top 100 who is top 40 in every major statistical category. Scottie Scheffler does not have a weakness, potentially, after switching to the claw and the saw grip as well. But Xander Schauffele is just through the bag the most complete player in golf. You look at sort of the career Grand Slam, that's now a track that's viable for Xander Schauffele. The Masters, the U.S. Open, the 2 majors that Xander has not won, he actually has the best record of the 4 major championships in those 2. I like the changes that Rory McIlroy's made with his golf swing, trying to be more efficient, trying to make sure that holds up in real time. And I think, guys, there could probably be some breakthroughs down the line as well. Justin Thomas looks like he's sort of rounding into the form that we're accustomed to seeing that made him one of the best of his generation. Will Zalatoris is looking for a bounce back after a sort of an injury-plagued last couple of years as well. And then I think you have a bunch of young stars headlined by Luke Clanton who could make that next leap as well. But this is still going to be Scottie Scheffler's tour in 2025
And I agree with Lav. I think Xander would be the obvious choice here based on what he did. And I found it fascinating last week when we asked Scottie about his season. He actually had a little bit of jealousy for Xander's season because you win 2 majors. That's what it's really about. Tiger Woods was pretty clear talking about that. And I like JT. He clearly is on an upswing. You look at what Rory McIlroy has done with his swing, you'd have to keep an eye on him. But I don't know how they do it. When you look at what Scottie did last week, again, small sample size, but the ball striking is not going to go away. He has proven that's a constant. That is not a variable. And then you look at what he's been able to do really the last year with his putty, with Phil Kenyon. Tell me how those guys are going to do it. I love the conversation I had with Tom Kim on Sunday. No one is closer to Scottie on tour than Tom Kim. And I asked him, you play a lot with him at home. Like, how do you beat him? He goes, I don't know. I've never done it before.
It's a very good point. He is the man who has got everything through the bag. Final question. Lav, your own ideas, guys. Scottie, the man who's got everything. What would you get Scottie Scheffler for Christmas? That's my question to you.
Another major championship in 2025. He's got 2 Masters titles in the last 3 years, but a major championship would just sort of bolster his resume, his legacy, even more than just mopping up against the best fields on the PGA Tour.
Yeah. Good news for Scottie Scheffler is I don't think that he needs us to put that under the tree. I'm pretty sure he can do that himself. But, yeah, it's going to be an amazing year for Scottie. Boys,